Hey, hi, and howdy, sweet friends. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. I am Courtney. I do food and kitchen content here on YouTube. That's like weekly grocery hauls, what's for dinner style video, things of that nature. So if you like that, I hope you'll stick around. If this is not your first time here, thank you for joining me again. All right, so I've got 3 meals that I meal prepped for my family. I'm going to walk you through the process. It took an hour and a half total. That includes me like loading the dishwasher and stuff. These meals are all very budget friendly, but most importantly, they're very delicious. So I'm very excited to share these with you. We're going to start it off with pork carnita bowls. So I've got some pork cuts. Really, you can use like a pork roast or some pork ribs, like boneless country style ribs, something of that nature, whatever you can find on sale. Really, that's what I would recommend. These actually were on sale at my local HEB like 2 weeks ago, and I paid less than $5 for this pack right here, I believe. So they were like a steal. As you could tell, I did not thaw it long enough though. So I've got it in my Ninja Foodie, which slow cooks, pressure cooks, air fries. It does all the things. I love it. It's one of my favorite things, and I am working on some recipes that I can do just like a whole bunch of meals in there because I've had a request for that, and I love sharing things in my Ninja Foodie. So now I'm going to throw together a little bit of like a marinade saucy business for the carnitas. I've got some orange juice. I've got some broth in there. I'm mixing some of my mushroom broth in there because I have had it in my fridge and I need to use it. And then there's a lot of different seasonings from oregano to garlic and onion powder, chili powder. I'm going to link the full recipe down below for you guys so you have the measurements and everything. Now, this does call for lime juice, but I didn't realize I was completely out, so I did sub lemon juice, but I got to tell you, lime juice is definitely the way to go for this. That's my personal recommendation, so I really say if you can get lime juice, use lime juice. So I'm just going to pour this liquid right over the top of these carnitas, and I'm actually going to pressure cook these today because they're frozen. You can always slow cook them and let them go for, the whole day, and they'll get nice and juicy and tender. But if you're in a hurry or if your meat's still frozen, pressure cooking's the way to go. So I threw in 1 bay leaf. I'm going to close the lid and I pressure cook these for 25 minutes. I let them do a natural release for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then I release the rest of the pressure, and you'll see those in a little bit. So we're going to move on to our next dish. This is chicken and gravy. This one's so easy. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's chicken and gravy. You could serve it over noodles. You could serve it over rice. I'm going to serve it over mashed potatoes today. So you start off with some cream of mushroom soup, 2 cans, but I am not using that. I use my own mix that I make. That video is linked down below if you're interested. It's just a powder mix that I keep on hand. And you can always just mix it with water or broth instead of milk. That kind of does save a little bit of money in the end as well. So if you're interested in making those, I really do recommend them. I'm also going to kind of season this up a little bit with some garlic powder and onion powder. I'm going to throw in a little sage. Poultry seasoning would be a great addition as well. Maybe a little thyme. I'm going to throw in some parsley and of course some pepper, but I'm skipping the salt because there is a lot of bouillon in there, so I don't think it needs any salt today. Now, this recipe will be linked below, and you can make it in the slow cooker, which is what I typically do. But today I'm sharing this easy stovetop method that you can make with like canned chicken. I'll be using my home canned chicken that I canned in jars myself a while back. I love this stuff, by the way. It has just been the best. But you can, again, just like regular canned chicken or rotisserie chicken. Now, if you have raw chicken, you could do it in here, but I would really say at that point, throw it in the slow cooker and let it go and shred it up all day. So I'm going to dump my chicken in there, broth and all, and I'm going to kind of break it up just a little bit because it comes out, in bigger chunks, and I want it basically shredded throughout this, so it's going to be like a chicken gravy sauce over some mashed potatoes. Now, in the past, I have thrown in frozen mixed veggies and all sorts of things. Today, I'm not going to. You don't have to. The original recipe does not have that, but if you want to add something extra or bulk it up a little more or have your veggies, I recommend doing that. They're really delicious in there, but it's just as good without if you want to save a little time and money as well. I'm going to let this just come up to a boil or a simmer really, just so it thickens. There's my potatoes. I'm totally cheating. I bought those at Sam's Club. They come in a 2-pack. The other pack that was in there I used to make KFC bowls, which I've shown a bunch of times on my channel, and they are a household favorite. So I've portioned out the mashed potatoes into, you see 4, but there's actually 5 bowls there. And I'm just going to spoon that chicken gravy right over the top. And that's all she wrote. Again, it doesn't have to be mashed potatoes. Egg noodles are fantastic with this. Especially with like some frozen mixed veggies veggies in there. It's really got some chicken pot pie vibes going on. It's not quite as creamy, but the flavor is definitely there. So you can play with it however you want, but this is just a really simple, basic version of it that my family loves. And again, it's very economical, so give it a try. All right, we're going to move on to our next dish. For this one, we're going to start off with a little bit of oil in a skillet. I've got some diced onion and some celery. Oh, we're making jambalaya. I should tell you what we're making. We're making jambalaya. It's so easy. I'm not making a fancy version. I'll link the recipe down below. You can make jambalaya with a lot of different things, but for me, I'm going to be using sausage and some leftover rotisserie chicken that I had in my fridge from when I made the KFC bowls. I've made this in the past with sausage and shrimp, which is, I'm going to say, my favorite way. Shrimp and sausage are just a match made in heaven, honestly. But because I want to use up things that I have in my fridge that I don't want to go bad, and because I'm going to make it more economical, I'm going to use half of a rotisserie chicken and some sausage. I've thrown that in there with the bell pepper and the celery and the onions. And I'm just going to give that a good stir. We just want to saute the onions till they start to get soft, really. That's all we're looking for. I'm going to cook the sausage so it releases a little bit of its flavor and stuff into the pan. The chicken's fully cooked, so I'm not worried about it. If you're using raw chicken, then you want to make sure and cook it until the chicken is pretty much cooked. Next, we want to season it up. I've got some oregano. I've got some thyme. We're going to do Cajun seasoning in here, a lot of Cajun seasoning. Just whatever one you like is fine. I'm going to skip the salt because Cajun seasoning is salty. So I don't feel like we need any more. If you want to just kind of like amp up the heat level, you could throw in a jalapeno here or anything of that nature. I did not, but I am using Hatch chili sausage in mine. So it does have a little bit of spice going on. And because we want it to be flavorful, I'm going to go ahead and throw in some beef bouillon. I love using beef bouillon. I think it flavors things beautifully. It has a salty element to it and just a really nice taste. Chicken bouillon tastes very chickeny. But beef bouillon does not taste beefy. It just has like a lot of flavor, and I love using it to kind of amp up the flavor of a dish. Next, I threw in 2 cups of rice. You're supposed to rinse it. I skipped that step because I completely forgot. It did turn out okay in the end, but I will say rice always comes out better if you rinse it. It just helps make it a little fluffier and nicer in the end. My bad for skipping that step. I typically am really good about it, but I just don't know what I was or wasn't thinking this particular day. Once the rice is toasted for a couple of minutes, I'm going to go ahead and add in a can of crushed tomatoes. I believe the recipe also called for tomato paste, which I didn't use because I only have the cans and it only called for a little bit. I would have had to like freeze some of it and stuff, and I thought, you know what, we'll be fine without it, and we were. But if you have it, feel free to throw it in right now. So I'm going to just stir that right in, and we want to go ahead and add in our liquids. Now, if you're using regular broth, you would add that in, but as you guys saw, I threw in some bouillon. I'm going to use the last of that mushroom broth I have, and then the rest is going to be water that I add for the bouillon. That mushroom broth, by the way, is delicious. So if you haven't tried it, I do recommend it. It's really, really good, but you don't have to have it. I'm just using it up because I've had it in the fridge for a while and I don't want it to go bad or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just toss it in these dishes, but it's so, so good. It really, really is. I love it so much. Anyway, once we've got all of our liquids in there, just give it a nice good stir. And just like any rice, you want to just kind of let this cook on low until the rice is done. For me, that took about 15-ish minutes. And it was beautiful and wonderful. And I fluffed it up with a fork. And it was like a little stickier than it could have been if I had rinsed the rice, but not by much. And overall, the smells and flavor from this dish, my goodness, y'all, so, so good. All right, so our pork is almost done cooking in the slow cooker, so I'm going to go ahead and make some rice. Now, you can make cilantro lime rice. You could buy pre-made rice. You could use a box of rice-a-roni. If you're looking for just a simple, flavorful rice, this is a good one. So I sauteed an onion for just a couple of minutes until it started to soften, and then I threw in 2 cups of rice, which, again, you should rinse. And, again, I skipped that step, and I just really don't know what I was thinking this particular day. This rice also came out beautiful and fluffy, and it was fine, but do try to remember to do as I say, not as I do, and rinse your rice. So I let the rice toast for a couple of minutes, and then I threw in some garlic. I'm using my confit garlic because I love it. If you're interested in that, I always have that linked in the description box. Otherwise, you could use garlic powder or fresh minced garlic, totally up to you. Now, this tomato bouillon, I swear by, this makes the most amazing rice. It really, really does. The flavor is beautiful. I'm going to combine some of that with some beef bouillon. So we have a little bit of both things going on. Now for our traditional Mexican rice, I would actually just do the tomato bouillon and some tomato paste in there. But for this, I wanted a little something different. So I did do a combination of both. I'm going to let that toast for just a minute. Whenever you have like any kind of powdered dried spice, if you can toast it for a couple of minutes, it really rejuvenates it and brings it back to life. So if you can do that, make sure you do, because it's going to really make things taste better. Then I'm just going to add my water in, give everything a good stir, and put the lid on and set it off to the side and let it do its rice thing. Here is our pork. Look at that. I'm trying to show you it's like super fork tender. Like there's no resistance when I put my fork in there. That is the beauty of pressure cooking things. If your pork is not as tender as you want, just set it for another 10 minutes on the pressure cooker and it will definitely tenderize even more. I've done that with especially larger cuts of like roast and stuff. Sometimes it just needs a little bit longer, but for me, this was perfect. These were so good. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out some of that liquid. I'm setting it to the side because I'm not sure how much I'm going to need in the end. I don't want to throw it out yet, but we don't need that much for sure. And we want to just go ahead and shred this meat up. Now, if you're cooking this differently, if your pressure cooker doesn't have like an air fry setting, or if you have chosen to slow cook this instead of pressure cook it, you may not be able to air fry the meat to crisp it up. So you would just put it on a cookie sheet and pop it into your oven under the broil setting for a couple of minutes and just toss it around every 3 or 4 minutes just to kind of give it a little crispness on the outside. I just use the air fry setting, and every 4 minutes I would just give it a stir so it would crisp up some of that pork. And it was just, oh, it was perfect. It was so perfect. So while that's going on, I'm going to go ahead and assemble the rest of the bowls. I'm going to put this rice in the bottom. If you didn't want to use rice, I would definitely say potatoes like skillet fried or oven roasted cubed potatoes would be really good. That would always be a great option. It really mixes well with any kind of like Mexican themed food. But I always just go with rice because it's cheap and easy. Next, we're going to add some beans. Black beans are a great option. You could do refried beans. I'm using ranch style beans because my guys love ranch style beans. And they add a whole other element of flavor too. But again, like you don't have to do that. You could choose the beans that you want. I'm opting to throw in some corn just for a little brightness and sweetness because there's a lot of rich and savory going on. That'll kind of offset it a little bit just to kind of like give it a full-bodied flavor in the end. You could throw in some pico de gallo or something if you want. I have chosen to just use some regular picante sauce. I buy it from Walmart or H-E-B, just a store brand. And I've got the giant jug of it from Walmart. We use it a lot. I'm not going to lie. This flavors things beautifully. I think of it as like another spice in my kitchen, really. I use it for a number of dishes just because it brings a lot of flavor to a dish. So I just poured probably a 1/4 cup maybe. I don't know. We really like salsa and picante in my house. You can put on as much or as little as you want. And there's the meat after it's been crisping. Oh, that just really, don't skip that step, y'all. It really does something special. Now, I'm going to put the meat on top and I'm going to call it a day. But if you wanted to put cheese on there, then that would be fine as well. My oldest son doesn't like cheese. I have not been eating as much cheese and neither has my husband. So I just went ahead and left the cheese off completely. And I don't think anyone ever opted to actually put any on top. But there's nothing wrong with it if you want to. You do your thing. For years, like we were all about the cheese. It's just here lately. We have just kind of started moving away from it for whatever reason. I couldn't even tell you why. So there's that. But you make your dish how you want to. And here is everything. It's 3 meals. Like I said, I think this took me less than an hour and a half. It was very quick and very simple. The cleanup was also very quick and very simple. I try to minimize my dishes that I use by, if I can reuse a pan when I cook one thing, I'll just rinse it out or wipe it out and cook the next thing in it. Saves time. It's less dishes at the end when I'm finished. And it just makes things easier. But there's all those delicious meals. They were so good. And these kind of kept us going for the whole week. So I highly, highly recommend these. I hope you guys enjoy them. I certainly enjoyed sharing them with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to link all the recipes for these down below so that you can make them yourself at home. Just keep in mind, sometimes I make little alterations according to what I have on hand or what my family likes. You should do that too, though. Make the food the way you like it. All right, y'all enjoy your weekend. I will see you soon. Have a fabulous one. Bye, guys.